You have always been a problem in this family. Why can't you get along with your sister? Why can't you be like the other kids in the family who get along? What is it about you? You've got to stop this. I can't take you anymore. I'm sure you have heard that in your family in relation to your siblings. Sibling relationships are complex, and I think a lot of the research in psychology that focuses on family dynamics fails to focus on this subsystem. A subsystem is a system that is beneath the major or first system in a family, if that makes sense. Really what we're looking at here is the first system in the family is mom and dad. So they are the parent system. Beneath that system is the sibling system, and that is the subsystem. Within that dynamic between siblings, there's a lot of psychology, emotionally and psychologically, that plays in the background of the relationship. So an example of this could be maybe you get along with one brother, but you don't get along with your younger sibling. One of the reasons why is because your younger sibling reminds you of your stepdad, and you didn't really like your stepdad. So you cling to your same age brother because he's a little bit more like your dad, and you tend to favor him. And because of that, the relationship between you and your younger sibling is rocky. Sibling position is really what we call a sibling hierarchy. It's when a sibling has a position that they play within the family. It's ranking, and sometimes it's perceived roles. And that perceived role may be powerful. That perceived role may be not as powerful, right? It may be a little bit weaker, but it still ranks that sibling in your family. This kind of a sibling position can also be associated with birth order. Here's a little bit of the definition right here on the screen. Birth order is complex in families as well, because it's not just necessarily a certain way because of the year in which or age at which a child is in or born in. The issue here is, how do the parents, how do the siblings refer to that individual within the family dynamic? Is this the rescuer? Is this the older child problematic individual? Is this the favored young baby of the family? It really has an impact on the family dynamic. Sibling jealousy, we might as well throw that in here as well, can often impact sibling position. Maybe you don't get along with the younger sibling because they're jealous of you because you're the middle child or the older child. And maybe life has been a little bit easier on you. Maybe you figured out what you wanted to do a little quicker. Maybe you left the nest and became more independent, which then falls back onto the younger sibling, and they begin to dislike you because of that. You have things kind of figure out, and for them, they don't. Sibling alliances or family alliances, we can call them polarized alliances, is something that happens in the dynamic when family kind of gather over here and they push you over there because of some kind of shared interest. Maybe that shared interest is that they don't like you, or maybe that shared interest is that your younger siblings who are a year apart all have decided to gang up on you, if I can say it, gang upon you. Can I say that? I don't know. Can I say that? I don't know. They all go against you. We'll put it that way. And there you are, not understanding why all of your younger siblings are going against you. Mom and dad have created this dynamic called an alliance, where they share a belief system about you that may be against you. Maybe you're the problem child. Maybe you're the black sheep. Maybe you're the identified patient. Maybe you've done something that they're never going to forgive you for. So mom and dad have created the system. And so now your 5 siblings are against you as well. And there you are on this side of things, trying to figure out exactly where you belong and what you did wrong. So this is called a polarized alliance. You're either all good or all bad in their eyes. You may also notice what's called a family alliance, not always a sibling alliance, but a family alliance where, maybe you're a Christian Maybe you walk with God. Maybe you talk to God. Maybe you have this spiritual understanding of your life, and your family, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your parents, your grandparents, they don't believe. They're atheists or agnostics. They don't believe. They don't feel like it's, a good place to spend their time. They begin to go against you. They all agree over here that you're going down a road that's not a good one. They don't want to be anywhere near you and your new religious life. They want to be over here doing their own thing. And so the family alliance creates a situation where they're pushing you out, right? They have vilified you. You've been ostracized. And when you go to communicate with them, the communication is off. The communication isn't reciprocal, right? It isn't mutual, because they have these opinions, feelings, and attitudes towards you that you know nothing of. The only people that know about how they feel about you is them. Parental preferential treatment. That's another thing that we're dealing with in these dynamics, where it may not be verbally spoken, but it's highly known that mom and dad have favorites. It's highly known that grandparents have favorites. And when there's parental preferential treatment, it happens in a way that makes you feel like the disfavored child. You're the disfavored child. And research suggests that disfavored children often deal with depressive episodes or depression. They show antisocial and juvenile delinquent behavior. They use substances, right? They start to fill their voids with drugs and alcohol. And this can go on for many generations and create anxiety as well. A lot of things can happen within a dynamic where there's a disfavored child and there's a favored child. And as a matter of fact, some research suggests that this is a thing that happens between generations. So it may happen with your generation, may happen with your child's generation, may happen with your child's generation, and it goes on until somebody fixes it. A web of dysfunction is exactly what is at the core here. A web of dysfunction, you're going to be highly, highly disregarded by your sibling, by other family members around your sibling, so grandparents, parents, cousins. And it's going to continue for as long as you allow it to continue. Once this video is over, you might want to go ahead and check this video out right here. I talk about that. I talk about the series of stages that you go through. But a web of dysfunction is what we can call this dynamic. There's a lot of extreme black and white thinking. So it's polarized thinking. You're good or you're not. You are favored or you're disfavored. You listen or you're rebellious. There's always some kind of extreme. There's never any gray, I should say. There's formed beliefs that are held against you that may or may not be true. Maybe the formed beliefs are biased. Maybe they are emotionally driven, and maybe they're vilifying you. So then that develops some kind of, emotional black and white thinking that they share with other family members, and it makes you feel and look bad. If you feel like this is the position that you are in your family, then you definitely want to keep on watching. Anytime I have to talk about siblings, it's really a difficult topic because there's a lot that can go on in the family dynamic, and not all of it is clear cut and easy to understand or even share and talk about. We have little research on the dynamic between siblings. Psychology is coming to a place now where it's starting to realize that this is a real dynamic and this subsystem needs help. But sometimes it is simply the sibling. And what makes things a little bit more difficult in a family dynamic that is toxic is that the children may not go against mom and dad. The children may not go against grandpa and grandpa, but who they are going to go against is their equal. And siblings, right? Your sister's going to go against you, your brother's going to go against you, or vice versa. There's a period of time where splitting may happen. Splitting is kind of like extreme black and white thinking, where a sibling may look at you and split you down the middle and say you're good or you're bad. And they may lean more towards seeing you as the bad person rather than the good person. Splitting is a term that's used to describe somebody who kind of splits you down the middle. They see you as two different things, right? You're wonderful beautiful, you're lovely, you're loving, you're somebody to look up to. And then on the other side, they see you as a dark individual who's evil and against them. You're mean and you're self-centered and you have no empathy. There's never any gray, right? And so that makes it really hard for you to be a human being in their eyes, because anything that you do that they don't agree with, they're going to go against you. Now, there's common challenges that tend to be an issue here in these families. The first thing is self-perception versus reality. When you're dealing with a sibling who doesn't see you in a positive light and they come against you and maybe they ostracize you and vilify you as well, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of self-perception of reality. What am I thinking and feeling in the moment? What am I seeing? How am I interpreting this versus what's really going on? And if you have a sibling that's going against you, it's easy for them to lean towards their perception of reality. If they are going against you and they are basing their ideas on a distorted reality, then that distorted reality makes it easier for them to come against you. Competition and regression happens in these families. I'm better than you. I got married first. I had children first. Mom and dad loved me the most. I've never gotten in legal trouble, but you have. I don't have a mental illness, but you do. There's often a lot of competition, and there's regression, usually in the form of, you're doing better than me, or everybody likes you better than me, or mom and dad have always helped you financially, or you graduated college and I didn't, you got a good job and I didn't. So there's this you and I kind of a thing, and they're constantly counting how many things they have in relation to you, how many friendships, how many homes, how many cars, how much money, how many jobs, how many educational opportunities. And in a sense, that's a regressed role that they are in. They're acting like children. The other thing is adult sibling jealousy. You're going to deal with that as well. If you have a sibling that seems to be in competition with you, that jealousy is deep. It is morbid jealousy. And sometimes it maybe even be delusional jealousy, where they're thinking things about you that they just shouldn't be thinking about because it's not true. It's not something that, you are trying to put in their face. It's not something that you're trying to boast about. It's not something that you've even maybe brought up. It's something that is weighing on them. They are looking for a reason to be upset with you. You also may notice role reversal in these kind of family dynamics. You become the parent, your sibling becomes the child, or the sibling who's a child then becomes your parent because of the dynamic, right? And if mom and dad boost them and favor them and show them, favorable things, or give them access to things like the family estate, and you know nothing about it, or you've never been brought into the small group that your parents and your sibling has, then it can make you feel very depressed and anxious, unloved, and not very cared for. So you may begin to feel like you are the disfavored one, that you are the one that isn't smart enough, that you're the one that's always been, kind of the quote unquote slave within the family. And so you may start to experience undermining behavior from your sibling. I know this and I know that passcode and I know this and I have that bank account, And unfortunately, it pits you and your sibling against each other, because you recognize that there's something going on with this sibling, and I'm not being given access to that. And what does that mean about me? Conflictual and coercive communication, interaction, whatever you want to call it, it's an ugly thing. Conflictual communication. You can never communicate without a fight. There's also coercive interactions. You're being forced to interact. You are asking to talk, you're asking to sit with your sibling and engage in some way, and you just don't want to do it. At the core, you know that you guys don't mix. You know that something's going on between the two of you. And if you're dealing with a half sibling that isn't someone that you admire, you respect for whatever reason, it can make it so much more difficult to be asked to be peaceful with this person or to embrace this person. I once had a client who dealt with this kind of dynamic, and dad, had an affair with another woman after 25 years of marriage with his wife. And, he was caught cheating. He was sitting in a restaurant with this woman, and he obviously walked her to her car. They hugged each other. They were talking, he was rubbing her hair. And my client drove up on dad, blew the horn, and just looked at him, she said. And dad was unbelievably embarrassed, and he was caught. And he ended up revealing to his family that he had a baby with this person, and the baby was 5 years old, and he didn't say anything because he didn't want to hurt the family dynamic even further. But as that 5-year-old got older, he started asking my client to embrace this child, to take that child under her wing and just be this big sister. And it was very, very hard for her because she didn't want the affair in the first place. She didn't want the separation as well. And then on top of that, I have to try to accept this sibling that's a half sibling that I don't want to have any access to. I don't like her. And so she was forced to be this loving sibling. And after 15 years of doing so, she dropped it. She went no contact, and her life is better for it. But sometimes you can be coerced into those kind of positions, and it can make you feel like you have absolutely no say. Now, you may be wondering, why do coalitions or alliances happen? It maintains the constant flow of the family. If there is a status in the family, the coalition and the alliance maintains it. So if you are the black sheep, if you're the scapegoat, the family alliance maintains that. Why? Because everybody's over here going against you. And so that maintains the status of the family, where you kind of stay over there ostracized as the black sheep. And everybody over here is getting along and being happy because you're not involved. And it can keep you in a downward dog position, for lack of a clear and clinical term. So what is the impact on you? Well, the first piece of this is you really can start to question your reality. You have a family that doesn't seem to understand you. Your sibling relationship is practically destructive and destroyed. How do you manage this dynamic in a peaceful way that is healthy? It's really difficult. So you may start to question your reality. Is it me? Did I say something wrong? Did I do something wrong? Did I? And so as you go along in your life, you may look back and still question yourself and ask, did I do this? Did I say this? Did this happen? Did that happen because of me? You may also notice role or identity confusion within yourself. Who am I? Who am I outside my family? Who am I outside of this black sheep role that they have given me? And who am I outside of this complex sibling dynamic? How do I escape this and still be me? There's a cycle of dysfunction in the family, and there's sometimes an inability to see patterns. So the family dysfunction has been there for so long, and the cycle of dysfunction has been there for so long that it's really difficult to identify when there's a problem, when there's a pattern, because most of your life there has been problems, and most of your life you guys haven't gotten along very well. So it's hard to identify when a pattern is abnormal, when a pattern is dysfunctional or toxic, when that's been your life for a very long time. There's a breakdown in communication, and that breakdown in communication doesn't always have to just include your sibling. It can be your sibling and your parents, because if your parents don't see things your way, then it's going to be, we're supporting your sibling, we want you to change, and we're going to be here to back you up when you decide to change. And so it's your parents and your sibling together going against you. So there may be a breakdown in communication. There may also be fractured relationships not just with your sibling, but also within your family as a whole. If your sibling is the favored sibling, right, then everybody else in the family is going to want to know, what's wrong with you? Why can't you make this work? So it must be you. There's emotional distancing that you may experience. You may emotionally distance, and your sibling may emotionally distance from you as well. So you're distancing and your sibling. It just makes this big, wide gap in communication and in your life, which makes it really hard for you to have a relationship with them. You may find yourself being overly independent. Maybe you don't want to be in that stuck place anymore where you're that person's sibling and you need to borrow money, or you need a ride, or you need somewhere to live. Maybe you just want to stay out of that toxic dynamic all the way around, and so you go off and you become extra independent, which means you also take your emotions with you, and so you emotionally distance, right? You kind of downplay your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings. You don't open up to anybody. You have literally slammed the door. Come join me Friday and Saturday as I talk more about this dynamic. I think you're going to want to hear it. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.